Dr. Laura Jakubowski, and in this video, I am going to demonstrate how to extract caffeine from an energy drink. The items we will need are the energy drink, extra strength. We are going to need a 5% sodium carbonate solution, ethyl acetate, some anhydrous calcium chloride pellets, a total of 3 150 milliliter beakers, some pH paper, a 10 milliliter and a 25 milliliter graduated cylinder. We will need a watch glass and glass stir rod, a digital scale and a weighing boat, a stand and ring, and we will also need a 125 milliliter separatory funnel with the appropriate fitting stopper. To start, I'm going to open the energy drink and pour the entire contents into a 150 milliliter beaker. Now, this energy drink is reported to contain 230 milligrams of caffeine. In order to have a better extraction from the caffeine in the aqueous phase to go into the organic phase, which will be our ethyl acetate, it is best to first adjust the pH. I'm going to check the pH of this energy drink by placing a spot of it onto a piece of pH paper. I will use the tip of the stir rod to do this. I will dip it in the energy drink and drop it onto the pH paper. In comparing the color of this to the color indicator chart on the side of the pH paper container, I can see that the pH is around a value between 2 and 3. This is on the acidic side. At this pH, the caffeine molecule is protonated. I'm going to adjust the pH to a higher value to deprotonate the caffeine and make it less soluble in the aqueous phase and more soluble in the organic phase. To do that, I'm going to use the sodium carbonate solution. I'm going to add 10 milliliters of this into the energy drink. So I will take my 10 milliliter graduated cylinder. And this measurement, it does not need to be precise. I'm going to take about 10 milliliters. I have about 10 milliliters. I am going to pour this now into the energy drink and mix. After mixing, I'm going to recheck the pH on a new strip of pH paper. So now I can see the pH, it's no longer as acidic. It has a value of around 6, perhaps close to 7. So in this pH range, the caffeine will now be not quite as soluble in the aqueous layer. We are ready to do the extraction. I will note that if your pH still is slightly acidic after adding the sodium carbonate, you can add in increments of 1 milliliter sodium carbonate solution at a time, checking the pH after each addition. Next, I'm going to get the separatory funnel in the ring stand. Before pouring any liquid in, I need to be sure that this is placed in a horizontal position. This ensures that the separatory funnel has been closed, and when I pour liquid in, it will not come out. But just in case, I'm going to put an empty beaker under the separatory funnel. To add the liquid in, I do not want any of the liquid to touch the walls of the top. So I'm going to use a long-stemmed funnel to pour the energy drink into the separatory funnel. Next, I'm going to extract this a total of 3 times with ethyl acetate. Each time, I'm going to use 20 milliliters of ethyl acetate. So I'm going to get my 25 milliliter graduated cylinder. And I'm going to pour approximately 20 milliliters of ethyl acetate into the graduated cylinder. So now I have approximately 20 milliliters. I'm going to pour this now into the separatory funnel. I can use the same long-stemmed funnel as previous because these solutions are going to be mixed anyway. Next, I will put the stopper into the top of the separatory funnel. I will carefully invert. And upon mixing these two liquids, the vapor pressure is going to be built up within the separatory funnel. It is necessary to vent this. I'm going to open, and you will hear a slight hissing sound. I'm going to close, and now I'm going to shake my mixture. I will vent again. I heard the hissing sound quite loudly that time. I'm going to close, and I'm going to continue to shake and vent until I no longer hear a hissing sound. Okay, I have shaken to the point where upon venting, I no longer heard the hissing noise. So now I'm going to place it in the ring and allow the layers to separate. Ethyl acetate has a lower density than that of water. So the ethyl acetate organic layer is going to be the top layer. The aqueous layer is going to be on the bottom. It may take a while for the layers to completely separate. After shaking, sometimes a foam might occur, and it takes time for that to completely separate. I think that separation is good enough to begin draining the aqueous layer. To drain, you must be sure that you remove the stopper. If the stopper is in, your draining will not be able to go properly. So I am going to open and allow the aqueous layer to drain into the beaker. I am keeping a close eye on it as I drain. I only want to collect aqueous layer down in this beaker. So now we have almost removed the entire aqueous layer. I'm going to swirl a bit to break up some of the foam which had been there, and wait a bit for the layers to settle again. Okay, I'm going to continue to drain. The goal here, I do not want any of the aqueous layer to be in the ethyl acetate layer. So I drained a little bit of the ethyl acetate has gone into the aqueous layer. But since we are doing 2 more extractions, I will be able to collect that with one of these subsequent extractions. So for now, what's here, it is the ethyl acetate, which should have our caffeine in it. To collect this, I am going to pour from the top of the separatory funnel into a clean 150 milliliter beaker. Since ethyl acetate is more volatile, I am going to keep this beaker covered with a watch glass. I will set it to the side for now. Next, I'm going to extract this aqueous layer with a fresh amount of ethyl acetate. I'm going to pour this from the beaker back into the separatory funnel using the long-stemmed funnel. Okay, so I'm going to add a fresh 20 milliliters of the ethyl acetate. Again, this volume does not need to be precise. I have taken about 20 milliliters of ethyl acetate. I'm going to pour this now into the separatory funnel. I will put the stopper on and mix. So it is important when you turn this that you do not want to vent pointed towards yourself or to any other students in the laboratory. So now I have it inverted, I'm going to vent. And I'm going to continue, as before, shaking and venting until I no longer hear the hissing noise. I'll place the separatory funnel into the ring and allow the layers to separate. Okay, I will now begin to drain the aqueous layer, being sure to remove the stopper before I begin draining. Okay, I have drained most of the aqueous layer. Now I'm going to swirl a bit to break up some of the foam which has formed. If you look closely, you will see that the foam is breaking up as the two layers continue to separate. I will drain a bit more of the aqueous layer. Since we are doing one last extraction, I'm going to drain the foam into the aqueous layer. In the final extraction, I will wait for the foam to completely disappear. Now I'm going to combine this extraction with the previous extraction, again pouring from the top of the separatory funnel into the beaker which had contained the first extraction. I'll set this to the side for now. And I'm going to take a final 20 milliliters of ethyl acetate. I will pour the aqueous layer back into the separatory funnel. And I will pour the fresh ethyl acetate in. Now for the final extraction. I will put the stopper on and hold it tightly with my finger, turn, point it away from myself to vent, and I will continue to shake and vent until I do not hear the hissing sound. Okay? Now, since this is our final extraction, I'm going to wait a bit longer for the layers to fully separate. Okay, I will begin to drain now. And again, since this is our final extraction, I will wait for as much of the foam to break up as possible before draining. Okay, so now the foam has mostly broken up, I'm going to drain the last bit of aqueous layer. And I'm going to pour the final extraction in with the other two extractions. Again, pouring from the top of the separatory funnel. So inside these combined extractions, there is likely to be some residual water. We can remove this with a drying agent. So the drying agent that I will use is calcium chloride. I'm going to measure approximately 0.5 grams of the calcium chloride pellets to add to our ethyl acetate extraction. I am going to pour this into the ethyl acetate extraction. And I'm going to mix this with a clean and dry stirring rod. The calcium chloride, as it meets water in the beaker, it will form clumps at the bottom as it is absorbing the water. I still see what may look to be some droplets of residual water at the bottom of this beaker, so I'm going to add some more calcium chloride. I will add an additional 0.5 grams. Okay, so now I no longer observe what appears to be droplets of water at the bottom of the beaker. The calcium chloride has absorbed it. So I am going to decant this into a clean beaker. Since we are using calcium chloride pellets, they are large enough that they will remain behind as I decant the rest of the ethyl acetate extraction mixture. I will keep this covered with a watch glass. So we now have our caffeine extracted into our ethyl acetate. We are ready for the next step of this experiment, which is to do a TLC to determine that we have indeed extracted caffeine into the ethyl acetate.